This is Mitch, and welcome to the Real Estate Investor Summit podcast. I'm here with Justin Wilmot. Yeah, don't put the N in there. It's Wilmot, M-O-T, okay? W-I-L-M-O-T. And he's over there in Flagler, Florida. Is that right? Flagler?
Yep, Flagler Beach.
Flagler Beach, just down around the Dayton area. He's a surfer guy who loves surfing so much that he figured out how to make money and surf more than he works. So this is going to be a really good interview because everybody would like to do more of what they want and less work and still make the money they need. So it's a topic that we're going to be talking about is virtual wholesaling, or he like to call it mobile wholesaling. So you can be anywhere in the world, do whatever you need to do, hunt, fish, surf, whatever it is you do, and still be able to make money from wherever you're at, as long as you have an internet connection, I'm going to assume.
Gotta have that.
Got to tap into the world. So Justin, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I'm stoked to be here with you too.
Okay, hey, I got to pay some bills here real quick, so I got to mention my sponsor of this episode, taxfreefuture.com. If you don't have a tax-deferred or tax-free accounts where you're growing your retirement or your financials, then you're missing out on a huge advantage. Please go to taxfreefuture.com because you have no idea what your financial advisors are not telling you, and they're not telling you a lot. All right. We're back, Justin. So, man, beautiful house. Show me, you just were showing me a picture out there. You're right on the beach, aren't you?
Yeah, it tricks people. There's actually my office on the beach, and my house is actually the street. But yeah, I'll give you a quick little, whoops. You still hear me okay?
Yeah, I got you good. I want to see
All right.
this.
There we go.
Oh, I hate people like you.
So we get a lot of work. We get a lot of work done out there.
Good. Well, keeps you inspired. Let's hurry up and get this done so we can go out there and get on the beach, right?
Yeah, man. Well, dude, it's part of what we're all about. It's part of the brand. It's part of what we are, man. Real estate, this real estate thing's a journey. And so it's all about, for me, it's about enjoying it during the journey, right?
Yeah, like I'm in San Antonio. I got a ranch 40 minutes away. I like to hunt and fish, and I'm down there at least 2-3 times a week, and
Beautiful.
Sometimes 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 days at a time. That's what I like to do. So that's,
clears your mind and motivates you for the next day, right?
I got my system set up so that I don't have to be there every day, and I can run my office and increase my bank account from my cell phone. So I think this is going to be a great conversation. So you're doing virtual wholesaling, mobile wholesaling, is what you like to call it. And we're going to be giving away a flash drive that has an hour's worth of training with all the contracts, all the scripts, and even where he's getting his VAs to help him out. And it's an inside look at how to wholesale virtually from A to Z. I think I got that right. Insiders look inside how to wholesale virtually from A to Z. I'm trying to read it off this paper and I can't read my own writing.
Same with me. I can barely read my own.
So we're going to give away a link to that here in a little bit, but let's do some little background on Justin Wilmot. Tell us where'd you come from and how were you raised and how'd you get into this business?
Yeah, so it's obviously everybody's got a long background, so I'll put it in short as much as possible. Came from a very middle class but hardworking family. My grandparents owned a campground up north in Foxborough, Massachusetts. Which became like New England's biggest campground. And at a young age, I learned work ethics there because there was nothing more cooler for me than to start working on that campground, to wear the collared shirt, to be able to drive the golf cart around at 10 years old, 11 years old, and there was something, man, in me that just drove me to work. And so that's where I got my spirit from, I guess, my work ethic. But then, moved to the beach, parents got divorced, kind of became a surf bum, hanging out under the pier, smoking weed all day, lost my motivation. Nothing wrong with either of those things, but if you do it too much,
everything in moderation, right?
Right.
Melt into the silver.
Yeah. So, I just lost my direction, man. But then, I found married my high school sweetheart, and I just knew I had to become more. I knew I was capable of more, which was the biggest thing. And I just sort of decided to change my lifestyle, became an entrepreneur, had a yacht manager. It started off washing cars, detailing cars. But that company called Epic Detail became really successful and turned into a yacht management company. Because when my dad moved down here, he became a private yacht captain, and it became successful and really successful. And that was another problem I didn't know how to deal with, how to deal with all the money, you know? So I was an idiot there, blew the money, spent it in wrong places. And when the economy turned, you know, your yacht is the first thing that you stop spending money on. So my business tanked, and it tanked like a sinking boulder. Through whatever savings I did have at it, did not work. So then, you know, probably how most people got into real estate is exactly what I did. I hit the old Google, right? I got, you know, my company's failing. I got no income coming in. All my income's going out. Saving grace was actually, I was able to sell that. I sold that company to, at the time, he was my manager. So I had like, at the time, I think, well, I had the peak, I had like 15 employees, three crews. And anyway, my main guy, he bought the company for me for pennies on the dollar. He bought, and you know, I gave him accounts where he was positive ROI from day one, dude. I mean, he was killing it. And so he bought that for me. Then I started my real estate in Denver through just Googling things. Spent a year and a half trying to learn the real estate game. Bought every course under the sun with whatever credit and debt I had available. And never made it happen. As a matter of fact, my first 2 deals I put under contract, I lost both of them because I wasn't paying attention to the location. I was looking at big square footage, small price, must be a deal. Well, it was in Cracktown, or it was in, you know, I mean, across from all kinds of stuff going on. And so I did not lose hope in myself. I did not lose hope in real estate. I knew real estate was the key. I knew real estate was the answer. I mean, all my clients in that yacht management company were all in real estate in some way or the other, right?
Yeah.
You know, so as I'm washing the boats and buffing their boats, I'm realizing, man, all these guys are crushing it in the real estate game, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I want to take pause here for a second to just thank you for your honesty and being so transparent, because some of the things that we go through to get where we're at, they're not pretty. And I think you need to hear that side of a person. I think, you know, I wrote this book, My Life in 1,000 Houses, Failing Forward to Financial Freedom. And I was told asked by a lot of people, are you sure you want to put this out? And I said, what's the problem? And they said, well, you know, you're saying a lot of things that aren't very glamorous and don't look very well on you. And I said, well, it's the truth of what happened. And I had to go clear it with my wife and a couple of business partners too, that were kind of, you know, we're pulling their pants down, showing their hiney too. Yeah. And they said, you know, it's not very pretty, but they all said the same thing, and they weren't coached and they weren't in the same room. They all said, well, it's the truth of what happened. It's not very pretty, but it's the truth. Yeah. And so I think the truth is really important. What everyone related to in what people are going to relate to in your story and what they related to in my story was it's about a time in the woods. And everybody goes through that time in the woods where there is nobody, there is no support system. There are bears out there, and there are things that'll eat you alive. And you're out there with maybe a sharp stick, and you're trying to figure out, how am I going to kill something to get a leg up so I can move on and get better. And it's scary. But I don't think there's a person worth their salt that hasn't been through it. And the poor bastards that inherit the trust fund and all that. Yeah. I'm not sure that they're the lucky ones. I think the lucky ones are the ones that spend the time in the woods and find their way out, and they're their own man, and they're their own person. I mean, I've had people tell me that were very successful, but normally they were second or third generation family members who inherited a business or in a company that they were brought along in. And I've had people tell me, and you probably have had too, that they'll never know what they would have been on their own. And we have the right, we know this, and there's a very big power in that. Like knowing, like, we did this from the bootstraps up. We did it scraping the bottom of the barrel and figured it out by the shoestring, you know what I mean? And there's a lot of power in that. You must have great pride that I say self-made man, but I always cringe when I say self-made man, because behind every self-made man is some people that really gave a damn about him and that supported him. And that is very true. Yeah. Yeah. Self-made. But you did it with no money, and no one gave you. Yeah. Yeah, I flipped my first house with, negative, like literally like $10 left in my name. You know what I mean?
And so that $10,000 check was like 9,800 something bucks. You know, it was just life changing. But yeah, man, self-made. But you're right.
This was someone, though. The point of the first deal is not necessarily how much you make. It's the proof of concept, right? Yeah. It's like, holy crap! I took $10 and I made 9,800 bucks. Holy crap! You know, it can be done. I just saw it. I just killed it and ate it. I can do it. You know, sharpen the stick a little bit more.
Dude, I love the hunting analogy because that is so true. I use like a lot of surfing analogies, right? Or with like, I'm a water guy. I'm a boats and a yacht, so I'm going against the tide. But you know, your analogies are just like me, man. But in the hunting game, and without question, dude, you know, it was the hunt. I killed it myself. You know, like
okay. So what would the surfing analogy be? You're out there looking for a wave when there was no wind.
Yeah, no wind, no storm. I still somehow got barreled. You know, if you wait long enough, that one set wave might come through. And
you thought it was a wave, but it was a shark.
Just perseverance. Just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. You know.
So yeah, you thought it was a wave, but it was a shark.
Yeah, it was a shark.
A couple of times.
And you're still right on that, you know, with the people that inherited, like, at least in my own life experience, one of my partners, and I'm obviously not going to say his names, but one of my first partners who was a lender, like, I got into wholesaling, and then I went into what I thought was the cool thing because I watched so much HGTV. Then I got heavily into fix and flips. And so I've literally bought and sold hundreds of foreclosures and renovated and redeveloped and built. And now I'm back in wholesaling. That's another story. But as I was doing that, one of my first partners, he was very successful. He kind of came from money, but he was a sharp guy. He became an airplane pilot just to stay busy. And long story short, he had 3 kids. He had 3 kids, right? So I won't go into that, but you can probably imagine, right? They all got into bad stuff and tough life for all 3 kids. They think that their wealth is the biggest curse that's ever happened to them.
Yeah, so a lot to be said for coming up, getting it a little bit at a time, and learning how to handle what you got. One thing that I'm very thankful for is that my wealth came over 22 years, and it didn't come easy and it didn't come fast. And I know what to do with it, and I know how fragile it is. I know how easy it is to lose it, you know, and I don't take it for granted at all because I fought so hard for so long. And you're kind of like the same kind of guy.
Yeah. No, it can be taken so quickly. Yeah.
Now let's talk about, you know, it doesn't matter what strategy you pick in this industry or any industry for that matter. If you learn how to, the trick is A, figure out a good strategy that will work in your market, wherever that is.
Yep.
B, make it pay and make it pay big.
Yep.
And then C, try to automate it so that you can, after forging this and working 24 hours a day and trying to figure out everything about it, that at some point you can automate it or systematize it and get people to help you so that you can get your freedom back. Because I think the only reason we make money is so that we can buy our freedom. Because if we could buy our freedom with jelly beans, we'd be discussing how to collect jelly beans right now, but that's not what we're discussing. So you picked virtual wholesaling, obviously because your freedom was really important to you.
Yes.
I mean, when anyone says I'm a virtual wholesaler, immediately I know this guy's probably out doing something all over the country, or he's got this thing that takes him away from an office a lot, and this is why he's doing this.
Yes, without question, man. I mean, that comes from, like I said, I got off starting wholesaling because that was the path of least resistance. You know, hey, make money in real estate with no money, no credit, the guru said. And I said, well, that's me. Sign me up for that. And then, you know, and then I thought the big goal here was to become this really big fix and flipper, in which I became. And I didn't know anything else about systematizing, about business, about delegation, about any of these things I know and teach now. And I ran myself literally like into the ground. I was just found myself in a hospital getting CAT scans at 24 years old, dude. I had some sort of I still don't really remember what it was. It was some sort of hernia, stress-induced hernia. And I couldn't even swallow my own spit. Like thought I was like going to die, dude. And the doctor's like, what is wrong with, like, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, I'm a real estate investor. And he's like, whatever you're doing, you can't keep doing this because look at you, bro. You're dead. So I'm getting a CAT scan, am I a healthy surfing 25-year-old I'm like, I got to change this shit. In addition to that, what was work, or not going to say worse, but in addition to that, before that event, I also was realizing that like I got all this money and I got all these things and I got the condo on the water and the gated community and this badass cars and boats. But what's more important to me was experience, traveling. It's way more important to me than experiences. I'm not really a car guy. Got a kind of cool car, but like I'm not a car guy, and I want experiences. I want to surf. Central America is one of my favorite places on the planet. And I couldn't go. To even think of leaving for a week was a joke. Like, it's impossible. You probably know this, but when you got 3 or 4 renovations going on and you're babysitting all the contractors and you have your money guys waiting to hear from updates and all these things going on, it's not happening. There's no way I could physically leave. So I go, holy shit, I just created another job for myself and I can't ask for time off. I can't ask for a vacation. I can't ask for anything. I'm stuck. And that's when virtual wholesaling came back into play.
So interesting. I had a nervous breakdown at 24. Same basic situation.
Wow. It's crazy. Every time I share the story, someone tells me something at that age too. That's crazy, man.
Because I was raised by Marines. I was athletics and football, and we didn't cry about nothing. And if you hurt, you just sucked it up. And I didn't know you could break this. And I had a lot of work. It wasn't in the house business at the time, but I had a business, and it was a 24-hour-a-day business. And I worked myself into a broken state. My mind was stronger than my body, and my mind would not go to sleep. My mind would not finish the job. My mind would keep going. It would overrule the body. And one day my body just said, "The hell with you."
Yeah.
And it sat down. It sat down hard.
Yep.
And
Just took a seat.
Took me about a year to get over that.
Yeah. It's
So
amazing.
But a big learning the hard way. So it's not about how hard can you work or can you outwork everybody. You gotta outsmart everybody and be the guy that works the least. That's where the goal.
Exactly. My uncle used to tell me that at a young age, and my uncle was very successful web designer, web developer. And I never really, I knew what he meant, right? Everybody intrinsically understands what that means at the surface, but till you really dig into work smarter, you really got to you have to make mental connections on what that means. And I think experience is going to help people do that. But it's good topics, man, because I feel like when we come out saying, yeah, this is what I do, this is all the money I've made, and this is my life, it's hard to relate if you're just getting started. And this is good conversation for people to understand that, and then everyone puts their pants on the same way.
Well, I hope we haven't spent too much time on this, because I really want to get into the virtual wholesaling. We're going to do that right now. But, there's always a backstory. And the backstory is almost as important as how you're doing the real thing, because until you understand where someone come from or what they're doing, then maybe you can't plug yourself into them. Did you graduate from college? I'm a high school graduate, period, end of story.
Yeah, I'm a high school graduate, and I only went to community college for about 1.5 years because it was my dying grandfather's wish.
Yeah, I went for 2 semesters. My business professor told us how he was going through bankruptcy and that he made $60,000 a year. And I said, why the hell am I here listening to this?
Why am I here?
Walked out. Like, this is the stupidest thing. I'm paying this guy to learn how to go into bankruptcy. Jeez. And he called himself a business professor. What the
Let's
hell?
not do this. Yeah.
This is wrong. Okay, let's get on topic here. Virtual wholesaling. Tell us start from the beginning. What's the most important? You already said the most important thing. You got to believe.
So let's define wholesaling, right? So wholesaling is simply, putting a property under contract at one price, marketing the contract to a cash buyer for a higher price, and selling that contract for a profit, right? That's it. The virtual aspect means, I live, let's say, like right now in Flagler Beach, right? I always have during my life. It's a very small market. Still done a lot of deals here, but it's a small market. So virtual will just be like, okay, well, I'm going to go. And this is exactly what I did. I'm going to go to Orlando, Florida. Everybody knows Orlando, Florida, right? World of Mickey Mouse ears and all that, Disney. And that's 1.5 hours away or 2 hours away from me. And so, what do I need to do? What systems do I need to generate so that I can have leads there, boots on the ground there? Because there does need to be a human element to this. When people think virtual, they think literally just technology, which is 90% of it. but you got to have the boots on the ground. But this technology helps you get the boots on the ground, right? So
I'm going to guess then you kind of target towns and you build some boots on the ground. You're not bouncing to a different city all the time. You're picking cities you like, building a little team there so that you got some support, so that you're not having to invent a team every other town. You know what I mean? So how many towns do you virtually wholesale in?
Without question. So about years ago when I started this product called 10-Hour Wholesaler, I was in like 12. And then I was like, this is too chaotic, you know? So I've just brought it down to just a small handful here in Florida, you know? Although we are, you know,
not so far that you couldn't drive to them if you really had a problem, you could get your own butt.
If I really had to, you know, without question. But I just don't, you know, I mean, like, it's just too easy to get somebody to assess the property. It's really interesting. Like, insight is so powerful because, like, you know, through hundreds and hundreds of houses, it's like, you know, like, here's a simple thing. Now I have the home seller do more of the work. Like if I need to see live video of the inside of the property and live video of the exterior of the property, then I just make the seller, if it's owner occupied, do it. I never used to think that I could ask for those kinds of things.
You can ask the world now, especially with the internet. I always tell everybody, ask the world for what you want, and don't be surprised if someone shows up and then you negotiate a price for it. And I don't know, but you can almost ask the world for anything you want right now. And to ask someone, hey, can you go by and video the inside and outside of my house, and please pay particular attention. I want to see the worst parts of it the most. You know what I mean? Yes. Show me the bad stuff, you know?
Literally that one sentence, you can become a virtual wholesaler. Because when you're going to a property, what do you do? You're just going to check it out, right?
Looking for the problems. Like, what are the problems in this house?
Yeah. Okay. Let's get a view. And then let's just say worst case scenario, they purposely avoid that big stain in bedroom number 3. Well, guess what? When you put it under contract and you still don't know about it, this is again learning through experience. When my buyers go to walk through that property, I will learn about it, won't I?
But hey, you have the wrong guy. You have
organic hole in the ceiling, and I'll go, you're right, because I didn't know about it. So then what do? I go back to the seller. I go, hey, you might have conveniently, you know, I'm being sarcastic, but you might have accidentally left that out. So I know we agreed on 67, but the new number is 42.
So you're getting the seller to video the house for you.
Yeah. I mean, only when possible, when plausible, you know, if it's vacant, which happens a lot, then yeah, we get a field manager. So that could be another wholesaler that will have signed like another non-compete. There's a handful of things that we'll do.
So if you can't get the seller to do it for free, then you just pay someone to go over there and do it for you, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And then the other part of the virtual aspect is obviously seller lead generation and buyer lead generation. And we can delegate all that stuff. All those days of us digging through our local county property appraiser's website and looking up who's buying cash and non-entity and all that stuff. That's all just done through a couple pushes of buttons these days. And then on top of that, you know, there's probably a lot of work to do to take that cold lead and try to turn it into a warm lead. Well, I delegate that too. So the only thing that I'm doing is following up with somebody that says, yes, I do want to buy more investment properties in Houston, Texas, in Atlanta, Georgia, in Orlando. That's the only job I have, right? As long as I can do that, you know, got an internet connection or a phone connection, I can do that.
Interesting. So delegating out the mundane tasks, probably using a lot of virtual VAs to do a lot of that stuff because they don't even really need to even speak English that good to get you information from the courthouse or to.
That question.
Yeah, I have 6 VAs that work for me, and 6 different companies that are related. But
yeah, and like one of the things I tell everybody, and I want to tell your audience, I'm a very, if you can't tell already, I'm a very transparent guy. Because I feel like we're in a transparent world these days. That's it. There's no more hiding nothing. Everybody's going to figure out anything they want about you. And so transparency in regards to, like, even when it comes to the information, I will tell you, is when you want to become a virtual wholesaler, is having a VA, a virtual assistant, the Yellow Brick Road, without question. But let me tell you, and I'm sure you know this since you have 6, that is a job in and of itself. And if you don't know how to find VAs, filter VAs, motivate VAs, and keep them
and train them
deadlines, it's not going to help you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, VAs are the answer, but now you need to know how to deal with them and who to hire. Like, you know what I mean? There's people like me that have already spent years finding the right people.
Yeah. So on this flash drive that you're offering to give away for the cost of shipping. And don't think that's a gimmick, guys. A man can't offer a flash drive and give it away free to everybody all over the nation and pay for the shipping too. So I think
I've spent thousands of dollars on these guys right here, and I make this much money on them, unless you decide to do more with me,
Yeah, that's typical. I mean, that's fine. So to get your flash drive, I want you guys to go to REInvestorSummit.com/free flash drive. And there you're going to get a 1 hour training on the insider look at how to wholesale virtually from A to Z. You'll get the contracts, the scripts, and you'll get to learn a lot about where he gets his virtual assistants and how he deals with them. And for $7.95 to get this thing delivered, I think there's no way in the world that you're going to be underserved. I think it's a great thing. So you found some cities. Let's get back on the task here. So you found some cities you wanted to deal with, and then you go about setting up your team. What kind of people are you looking for on the boots on the ground in that town? Because you said you got to have about 10% deals with boots on the ground. Who are the boots on the ground in these favorite cities?
It's a good question. So I'll look at three things. So one, I'll say, is there an agent, right? Not a broker, but an agent that is young and hungry, but they just don't have the money or the
they need some side hustle.
Right, a side hustle. They just don't got the marketing ability to do what they want. They got 5 listings, and the truth of the matter is, oh man, I forgot the statistic, but you might know. What was it, like 70% of all commissions are earned by the top 10%?
No, it's 20% of all the commissions are. 80% of all the commissions are earned by 20% of the agents.
By 20% of the agents. Well, there we go. Right. So we know we have a big pool of hungry people. Yeah. So we'll look for that pool. The other thing is every local every major metropolitan has your local RIA, which is always a hub. And for me, I look at it as a hub of people, right? And I say, who here is, hungry and trustworthy? Literally just what you and I are doing. You're an aspiring wholesaler. Hey, my name's Justin. Do you mind jumping on a quick Skype call with you? I'm going to teach you the real estate business, and you can earn some income along the way. And hey, one day if we wash hands and you go do your own thing, awesome. If not, maybe you can work with me in this market for, next year or two to come, right? So that's a hub, finding other aspiring wholesalers. Now with that, they'll have non-compete, non-disclosure agreements that you should sign. But although I've done plenty of field manager stuff with none of that.
So let me just say, personally, I would feel better just finding someone in town that needs a side hustle, that doesn't want to be in real estate, doesn't know anything about it. Just take the camera, give me the damn pictures, let me send you a damn check,
Yes.
I don't want to really get in or have to worry about, are they going to snake my lead or
yes.
And a lot of times when you're in a house or when they're in a house, the neighbor's going to come up and talk about the house they have, 3 blocks over. And I'd like to reserve that for mine. And if I got a guy that's in the business, he's going to say, well, I'm doing that's not his lead. That's my lead. So I would tend to.
So the third pillar on that we've found that's really been helping. This is a good little golden nugget tip for your audience, because I found it and I didn't even do this until I started coaching and mentoring people, because it was one of my students that did this almost 2 years ago. I was like, wow, that's genius. Just went and started joining all the Uber groups on Facebook and started asking all the Uber people, who there was hungry, why are they there, and just started interviewing people. And he just chose people that he just, jived with, like this. Like it was like, hey, you seem like a trustworthy guy, set up a PayPal account. I'm going to send you a training video in a moment, right, on what and how to do this, right? And then that's it. And that was his boots on the ground, and still uses them to this day. An Uber guy.
I've thought about using Uber people for that myself, or even just to deliver some documents. Like I need to, or teach a couple of them how to just go file things at the courthouse, because timely filings are really important to me. This is off topic, but why would an Uber driver ever just drive Uber? I mean, listen to me, if you're Uber driving, you got to have something else for sale. You can put in 25 people a day in your car, got a house to sell? Ask me about the house you want to sell. I don't know. Find a different side. You're meeting 25 people a day. You need to put it on the back of the 2 headrests in the back seat and right on the dash, and sell something else, for God's sake. You could double your income,
And it's so simple. I mean, someone like you and I, if they got us a lead by asking somebody, with no other work, you and I would pay them $500, $1,000, $1,500 for that one lead.
Yeah.
You know,
you got a house in Orlando you need to sell quick. Ask me about it. And if they don't ask you, they don't. But it's right there on the dashboard, and it's right there on the 2 headrests. I mean, if they have a house for sale, they're going to tell you. Okay.
Yeah.
And you can make an extra $500 just for giving the lead to Justin or me. You know. So I don't understand you guys in Uber that aren't selling something else. I mean, my God.
Well, what we found is when we say have this very conversation with them, they some of them, right? They're totally on board with this, you know, because they're like, yeah, I'm already doing this. I'm already driving around. I'm already in this neighborhood. I've already driven by these properties all the time. I would love
They're going in and out of neighborhoods all the time. So then you could expand it like the Uber. See, I thought about this. I'm thinking about talking with the Uber guys in San Antonio and saying, put these placards on the back of your headrest and on your deal. Yep. You can take them off. They got these little sticky things. They're rubber, and they don't leave any film or anything. You can put them on or off,
Nice. Yeah.
And then I say, you know, and then when you go through the neighborhood, pick the long way out. And if you see a house that's vacant, take a picture of it using this app and get it to me. My God, I bet you I pay you more than Uber by the time you know, 2 or 3 months in, when you really got some leads in my CRM system. I bet you I pay you equal to what you make driving. I bet you do. But
oh, dude, it'd be more. They'd make more, really. You know, they would end up doing the Uber thing just as a good excuse to continue looking for leads. You know,
I told some of my guys some of my students that were flat broke. I said, get an Uber thing and use it to find deals, to drive through houses, to whatever, and then get a little jingle in your pocket every day so you're not broke.
Totally. Yeah, that's a good tip. Yeah.
Okay, so you got these boots on the ground in these little towns. You said now you only do about 4 or 5 towns, or how many towns?
Yeah, like four towns at this point. Yeah. Counties.
That's all. I mean, you don't really need a lot of towns, do you? Especially if they have a big population.
Yeah, well, that's why I say counties. I really focus countywide, you know. Orange County has like 2-point-something million residents. You know, it's big, man. You know, I mean, you just don't. I used to be thinking a lot, doing a lot in a lot of different places, especially when I became an educator. I was, you know, doing more partnering with students and stuff. But I just narrowed it all down, dude. I just became just so lifestyle driven. At this point, it's like whatever requires the least amount of resistance and bandwidth and still continues to grow the bottom line of the income, then that's the route that I go.
Ken D'Angelo, the founder of Homevestors, told me that the entrepreneur will rarely end up with the business he starts. He always morphs to the most amount of money for the least amount of work, and that ends up usually being a completely different business than the one they started, which is exactly what you're doing. Now, here's a point I want to throw out there. You know, a lot of strategies, you need cheaper houses. A lot of strategies, you know, if you're having to put up the money and everything, it's hard to go to like Orange County and buy houses where every house is, you know, worth $600,000 or $700,000. But when you're wholesaling, it's better to be in the more expensive parts of town, right? Because you can clear yourself bigger margins easier when there's a lot of money changing hands.
So here's totally. So my theory on that, though, is whatever people ask, well, what's a deal, Justin? You know, my students ask, what's a deal? Say a deal is whatever your vetted cash buyer considers a deal. So if I got a great fix and flip buyer who will only do deals in the multi-million-dollar range. By the way, when I said Orange County, I should have been more clear. I was talking about Orange County, Florida, which is Orlando and all that stuff.
Okay, it doesn't matter.
A lot cheaper than Orange County, LA, or California, that's for sure. But still has expensive real estate in there. To me, a deal is whatever my buyers consider a deal. And what do I consider a buyer? I consider it a friend, a relationship. You know, I tell people all the time, you know, you want to the point where your buyers are like, you literally feel like you can call them a friend, you know. You've spoken with them on conversations.
Which means you can't glean the field on him on every deal you do. You got to leave him enough damn room to make some money. Because I'm really not friends with people that want to sell me stuff and tell me that it's worth something and I find out it's not. I'm friends with people at the end of the day that bring me consistently great deals and they're fair.
Yeah. A deal as a wholesaler is only what a buyer considers a deal. That's it. What do you consider a deal? That's what I go when I get. That's it.
Very interesting. So you guys, I want you to go to REInvestorSummit.com/free flash drive and get an insider look at how to wholesale virtually from A to Z. You get the contracts, you get the scripts, you get even some insight on how to find and train your virtual assistants. It's an hour long. He'll send it to you for $7.95 just to cover his drop shipping cost, you know. And people go, well, it doesn't cost $7.95 to send a hard drive. Hey, you know what? It doesn't if you're going to do it yourself, but this guy's probably worth $800 an hour. You don't want to pay him to do it. He's got somebody drop shipping this somewhere, and it costs more than the postage, okay? So
yeah. I got my staff right here at the office doing it, plus we have to buy the envelopes, and it literally, we did the math. When it's all said and done, I'm losing on shipping. I'm losing about $1.50. I'm sorry, $0.015.
Because you got to buy the drive, you got to buy the envelope, you got to buy the postage, you're going to pay the people to put it all together and handle that. So
I'm losing a penny.
Really,
yep.
He's giving this for under cost, you know. So so go to REInvestorSummit.com/free flash drive. Check this out. If you're one of those people who, you know, this would be great for handicapped people, for people that are disabled, for veterans that have trouble holding a job because maybe they have PTSD. There's a whole realm of people out there that have themselves painted into this crap can that they can't do anything. It's completely bull. There's you can do virtually if you can understand English, if you can learn and you can get in front of a computer, then, you know, there's a lot of people out there that desperately need an opportunity like this for other reasons than just they want to go chase their dreams. Some of these people may just want to have some freedom enough to make a living so that they're not dependent on the government or SSI or something like that.
Right.
There are things you can do, man. And
real estate doesn't need to prove itself to anybody. That's what I tell people. Real estate's out here for you. You just need to pick a niche that makes the most sense for you and go after it and go all in and just continue to push and push and push and push.
You know, I've thought about, and I've talked to some people about it, about getting some certain strategies that veterans that don't have legs or arms or, you know, that things they can do to make a great living from the home. And I'm, you know, you and I, we come from the real estate side, so I've only thought about it from that, but maybe this virtual wholesaling is a way that people can retrain themselves and find a way to make a living that, you know, you don't need two legs to do this.
Not at all. As a matter of fact, that what you would call as a disability is actually an asset, because if you don't have the ability to, or the opportunity or whatever, however it would be phrased, right? You don't have the opportunity to actually drive there like someone else does. You're forced into doing it what I call the correct way, the virtual way. You're being forced into doing it the right way.
Very interesting, because I have right now like 6 students that are moving from Los Angeles to different parts of the country because Los Angeles is not a conducive environment to be able to flip houses or to be able to own or finance houses, which is what I do. And so they're living in one part of the United States and they're setting up shop in a different. And I tell them the same thing, because you're forced into this corner, you're going to be forced to make a real business. A real business is one that you work on from the top down, or that you work in. You don't work. I mean, I'm sorry, you work on it. You don't work in it. You don't drive. You don't paint. You don't mow. You don't even go look at, you know, this is a perfect way to get a real business. The business is the one where you're not even the CEO. You're the owner. A CEO has a job, you know. So you want to like be the owner, you know, has a CEO under him. And when you get yourself in these certain positions, a POW told me one time, this is the most adaptable thing in the world. And if you give it just enough water and just enough protein, it'll figure everything out. I believe so much that I took having a job off the table in my life. I said, I'm never going to have a job again. And I'm going to figure out what this does. I'm going to make this figure it out. And he said, the only thing that has to happen is you got to keep your mind. And in his case, he was a POW. He had to keep his mind from going insane because they beat him every morning and they starved him all day long and they did horrible things to him. But all I had to do was keep my mind and not go cave into having a job. And guess what happened? It figured it out. So if you're a disabled vet, or you have, you know, you've got yourself kind of painted in this corner, it may be your greatest asset, because if you'll give it a chance, this will figure everything out. Whether you have 2 legs or whether you don't have 2 legs, it will figure out what to do, and there's options. So
couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. You'll figure it out. You just got to push. You got to push. I would say it's a mental war game. The business is so simple. Like the actual mechanical part, put a property contract for one price, market the damn contract to a cash buyer for a higher price, right? Obviously, you should know your numbers and know what makes sense for buyers, right? But market them to either fix and flipper or landlord, higher price. Send those two contracts into your title attorney and wait for your profit, right? Now, the difficult part is all the BS that we tell ourselves on that journey. I don't know what to say to buyers. I don't know how to find buyers. I don't know how to make offers. I don't know how to negotiate enough. I don't know how to do a closing. That was one of my excuses. I don't know how to do a simultaneous closing. Simultaneous closings are illegal. Wholesaling is illegal. You're listening to things that you're grabbing these excuses, right? And so it's mental war. You hear something, it's like, okay, see, now I'm not allowed to do it, okay? So like, I don't know how, or I'm not allowed because that agent told me I couldn't, or that title attorney told me I couldn't. Yes, I finally have an excuse to quit, right? It's bullshit. It's the mental war. The business is so easy, real estate is.
I like what you said. We don't need to prove that real estate works. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't need to prove that my strategy works. He doesn't need to prove that his strategy. We got people. We're doing it, and there's people all around the country doing
it. Yeah, the checks are checks, guys.
What's not working in this formula is you. So change your attitude, change your deal. Go get this. If you don't know where to start here. Get this flash drive and listen to someone who knows how to do it. Here's one good piece of advice, no matter who you pick. If you don't pick Justin or you don't pick Mitch, find someone who's doing what you're doing and is really good at it. I would say make sure you do some research on them, because make sure they're the kind of person you want to be on and off the field, because you can only be one guy, and somewhere the worst of the guy is going to show up. So make sure that, you're dealing with a guy that you want to be on and off the field. And then when you're sure that's the strategy you want, that's when you write a check.
Mm-hmm.
When you're sure that's the guy, because you'd be really foolish to like jump into an F fighter jet and think you're going to figure it out on the fly. You're not.
Right. True. That's true.
Like, the guy behind you says, okay, I'm going to give you the wheel. And then he pops the ejection seat and you're like, there you are. You're going to figure it out. No way in hell. I mean, you want someone sitting behind you that stays with you, gets you all the way in, and helps you. And it'll be a lot less anxiety. You'll spend some money.
Yeah.
But you won't be second guessing yourself. You may even have a little bit of a cheerleader in your background going, hey, Mitch, you just started talking negative crap. Shut up. Get focused. Come back over here. Get off the other negative side of the fence. You're whining like a little baby now. Get your butt over here, and let's get going on the good stuff. All right, my friend. Anything else you want to say to these guys out here about virtual wholesaling before maybe we wrap it up?
It's a great interview, man. And just want to wrap up with just reminding people that it's mechanically a very simple business, and you just got to jump in, get started. And, whether you're looking for something to add to your existing business, or if you're just trying to get started, giving this virtual thing a shot is well worth it. And honestly, I know it's almost too hard to believe, but literally, like, if you want to get started, everything you need is on here. The contracts that I use, plus the training on how to do an 1.5 hour long training. So give it a shot.
People don't know what to say. So you're giving them the scripts. And then when you get ready to get some help, he's helping you with who these virtual wholesalers are.
Yeah, then I'm actually giving the dang virtual assistants that I use to generate buyers and seller leads. So, I mean, it's a kind of it is a no-brainer.
Yeah. Okay, so you got to start somewhere, and you got to get educated if this is what you're going to do. If you want to fly a plane, you got to get educated on how to do that. I mean, pick a starting point and start. The sooner you start, the sooner you get there. All right. I'd like to thank everyone out there, all the listeners, for stopping by to get you some Justin Wilmot. He's over there in Flagler Beach doing business in about 5 or 6 different cities, making a tremendous living, and has a real lifestyle. You can't get any better than that. I'd also like to thank my sponsor for this show, taxfreefuture.com. Please visit taxfreefuture.com. Watch the 37 videos, because you will not believe what your financial advisors are not telling you. This is Mitch Stephen with the Real Estate Investor Summit podcast. We're out of here. See you later, Justin. Thanks for being on. I enjoyed you very much.
Hey, man, it was awesome. It was great being here. Thank you.